Hello, everyone. I'm here with Abheek from Peace and Love, and we're here to talk about the main event, how his team got here, a bit more about what his expectations are. But before we get into all of that, I think we need to reflect back on the past and how you got here, because there was a lot of initial beef between your team and Ataraxia in the Swiss stage. So I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about why there was this sort of rivalry between you and them.
Well, it's not really a beef. I'd say I'm the best instigator in EU. I'd say, and in my opinion, uh, I think a lot of OWCS actually is about how your mental is. So, like, if you can tap into someone's mental, like you could hear it in their comms after, like they
Yeah.
were not happy. It just puts a lot more pressure on them. So it's an easy way to get an advantage, I think.
And then you then get the rematch in groups as well. So I
Uh,
presume, did you have the exact same tactics in mind? It's worked once before, gonna hit him with more of the same?
Um, we kind of Swiss in groups. We kind of freestyled, but now we locked in a little bit. Now I think.
But yeah, because now you're in the top eight. I guess things are actually getting serious, and especially the way a lot of tournaments gone. I think people in Europe still have the idea of like the big three in terms of SSG, ENTS, and Twisted Minds. But outside of that, it's actually pretty wide open, I think, in terms of who are the next best teams. Where do you kind of see yourselves in that kind of situation?
There's way too much pep hype. I think. I think it was I think it was a lucky like two maps they won against Lens. I don't know. I don't. Uh, the I think this meta right now is like all about how your mental is, like how confident you play. I think it's a lot less about like individual skill. Maybe like some magic picks here and there, but if you don't play confident, you can easily lose to. It's probably why you see a lot of upsets, like people playing under pressure and stuff like that. I think so. I think we're top four. I think, and I've heard some rumors about Twisted Minds, so
You might
maybe
be
maybe maybe sneaky,
you
maybe
might be
sneaky there.
sneaking in. Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see. I want to ask a little bit about your team internally then. What's the structure like in terms of obviously you're not in like a salary situation like SSG, so how much practice are you getting per like any triple blocks or how much are you guys putting in?
Um, I think it's like one most of the days, and then two some days. But like since it's like we're like all friends with each other, it's like kind of natural to just discuss what happened in the scrim after. Like we can just easily stay in VC afterwards and just talk about whatever happened. And there's like people are not scared to criticize each other. Like I feel like on a lot of teams, like after that 23 block, 21 to 23, you just good night guys, going to bed. But I feel like with
Yeah.
us we can like freely discuss whatever went wrong quite easily.
So it's a bit more of a loose structure rather than like a formal, oh, we're meeting for an hour to do VOD or anything like that.
And half our scrim partners can't cancel this week, so yeah.
Do you have a hard time getting scrims? Because I know, especially, well, the big three plus Toronto can be quite keen to sort of keep it in house, essentially. How has it been
Uh,
getting scrims with
no,
any of
it's
the top
easy.
dogs?
Managing is easy. I thought it'd be harder. And no wonder these manage about 8 teams per
Yeah,
region. I think
just to keep themselves busy.
Christopher keeps asking me if I'm not gonna, but no one responds on our team if they. I think everyone's at school or something. So
And then, what's it like in the actual team structure? Then, like, do you have like a guy who's like the brains of the operation, like the main caller calling all the fight plans, or does it split up a little bit more?
yeah, so like we have a. There's a lot of talent on our team, but like I think me and Ice are like the only ones that have been scrimming consistently in the last couple months. So like I sometimes I kind of have to like take the lead on where we kite, fight plans, what ults we're gonna use, stuff like that. But it's more of just like a reminder rather than like I'm just like prompting people. I think
Mhm.
that's and mid fight I think it's whoever our tank normally calls, but I think and yeah, just the alt track, and that's mainly it, I think. Just a normal team.
You said you obviously put a bit of emphasis on getting the other team's head and trying to mess with their mental and their focus. Is there anyone who does the opposite for your team in terms of
Gets in our head?
Well, no, not gets in your own head, but as in if something is going wrong or there's a bit of tension or stress is there anyone who like calms you down or refocuses you or kind of like brings you everyone back into line?
Say that's probably me and Connor, Jew, our coach. It's like probably saw after our Esperanza, I think, versus Ataraxia. It was kind of like not the greatest. So I just like kind of make sure like just tell everyone to keep the energy high. And like after we won that Survivasa, I was like completely confident we would win Rialto too if we kept the like comms the same level of energy.
Yeah, when that group stage but once you got to that map 5 against Ataraxia, especially for when that Rialto started, it couldn't have started better for you. It really felt like you were on the front foot, you rolled the first 2 points, you end up full capping. At that point, did you know we've got them here, right, essentially?
Yeah, sometimes I just have to remind the team like Overwatch is not a hard game. Like we got like 2 fights and we got to the end of second. Just play on the point, and if they don't touch, we get free cap. So just keep it simple.
When I think about the team then, because I think people might be familiar with maybe Ice and maybe yourself as well from previous teams and contenders. Could you tell us a bit more about some of the other players that maybe are a bit lesser known in terms of sort of what they add to the team and what their role is?
Bia or Eula is the main support. So I think he was on Munich with Trust Me, Crook, Cookie, Psycho, and yeah, I think they won Contenders Summer Series or Spring Series. I can't remember which one. Or B-sides or A-sides, one of those ones.
No ones you mean.
And then he was on EXO for a bit as like a third support, like a brick player for Crispy, I think. And then we have Psycho, who's on those similar teams. I think he's played on all the same teams as Bia. And then like Team Norway too. Loren probably saw him at World Cup. I think that's like his main showing. And Ollie was on the same Munich as Bia and Psycho. So it's like kind of like a core, you know? Plus me and Ice.
And what's the... Because obviously we saw Ice, I think, played all of the series against Ataraxia. What's the sort of like decision between like what heroes does Ice cover? Because I think he's more normally an off-tank, right? And then is Ollie all the main tank heroes then, essentially?
So originally we had Ollie in most of the time in Swiss, but then he had a trip to like Thailand or something for the entire group stage. So we just played Ice on Orisa, and he did well on it. So now we're just seeing who's actually the better one in this like next couple of days of scrims.
Okay. And if we can talk about the meta a bit, because it feels like certain teams, everyone seems pretty pilled on the Orisa, but certain teams seem to be leaning a bit more into BAP or a bit more into CAS or into both. Whereas you at least in groups, were pretty Sojin Kiri in most situations. Where do you sort of sit at the moment in terms of like these two slightly different variations of the meta?
I think it literally depends on how we're feeling, like before the map. Like sometimes if Loren feels like he's dying a lot or something like that, he's getting shot out too much, he'll probably go CAS. But the like more, is more strong, I think. And if we feel like we have a lot of space on the map or something like that, I'll probably go Sojin. And normally I just stick to the Kiri. I think it's a lot. We haven't got as much practice, so I think BAP is a lot harder to integrate straight away.
Yeah, no, I think I think to be fair, when I spoke to Landon, he said something similar in terms of he thinks for BAPs it's harder, but you can sometimes get more out of it. But it's like it takes a lot to get it right. I wanted to ask then, because obviously in an ideal world, you win the main event and you go straight to Dallas. But obviously there's a lot of good teams and there's probably like tiers to success here as well. How far in this main event would you need to get to sort of look back and be like, well, actually, I'm happy with that?
I think if I've done my bracket like looking correctly, I think we can get top 3. I think we should aim for top 4, and then anything above that is a plus, and top 3 we should that would be a good result, I think. I don't think we have enough circuit points to get to Dallas, only through winning, I think, maybe, because I think I'm the only one on my team with circuit points, but I think top 4, top 3 would be a good result.
Yeah, because I think for waiver bracket, obviously because you got that top seed coming out of groups, you got a pretty favourable first fixture. Is there any sort of concern or worry with Deimpero, who are kind of having a bit of their own sort of resurgence and come up in recent weeks?
I think if we just play with the same energy that we want to play with, then it should be a pretty standard matchup. I don't think they're going to throw too much surprises at us. They just play. It's very chaotic, I think. So if we stay calm, I think it'll be quite easy for us.
And then, is there any of these other teams? Obviously, like everyone's probably always worried about playing like an SSG or an ENT or anything. But out of all the other teams, is there any team you're particularly looking forward to playing, or you're pretty keen to play and try and beat?
Well, it was EXO before, but I'd say it probably now is Peps. Like it's just I think a lot of people have like their top 3, and then Peps 4, and then us 5 to 6 maybe. So I just want to prove them wrong, kind of.
You want to overtake, take that, reclaim your place in the Abheek 4.
Yeah.
And then, if I had to ask you who you think is the scariest team right now, who you think is maybe the most likely to win this main event, who would you go for?
I'd say SSG. I think Sparker and London on Babcast is just, I don't know what's changed over the last like month, but they're actually insane on those 2 heroes individually, and the team plays around them well, so they're probably the best. I think Ents can be a bit shaky sometimes, like if certain people don't perform on that team, like I don't see like the others maybe stepping up as much. So like if Kev or Kai don't perform as well on a game day, then you might see like there's random surprise maps drop to Peps, stuff like that. So I think it's SSG.
The way the bracket falls as well, it is if everything goes as planned and you win your first game, as do SSG, you'll run straight into them, right, in the upper bracket semi-final. Do you have plans in mind then as well to try and mess with their mental, mess with their focus, try and throw them off?
They might be a hard one to crack. I think their coach is a bit of a master of instigating. So we'll see what happens on game day. I think if we just play with like no scare, no, play with confidence and don't be scared. Like we have really good mechanical players, and we can put up a good showing, I think.
I think especially, I think back to when we were on London and we were playing some of the big teams or the elite teams, we would almost treat some of the matches when we get up against them as like, there is no pressure. There's no expectations from, I think, anyone for us to like win this series or beat them. We can actually just play with quite a lot of freedom.
I think that's helped us a lot throughout the Swiss and like groups even. Like I don't think anyone even knew our team existed until we played Ataraxia on that last day of Swiss. So we've just been playing with no pressure, I think, and we can keep that going forward.
And then maybe a few quick questions just to finish, since I think, again, you're quite a new team, right? Or at least new in terms of this final formation. Could you tell, if I had to ask you then, who's the funniest person on the team?
I'll give me, Ollie, or Loren, I think. We'll keep it equal, I think.
Putting yourself at the top there.
Yeah. Have to keep the mood light, I think.
And then who's the opposite then? Who's like the, I don't know what you call it, the most serious or the grumpiest or the one who moans, the complainer?
I don't really have a complainer or a grumpiest. But Psycho's probably like, he's like the most silent, but he's just killing everything. So it's fine. All
right then. Thank you very much, Abheek. I appreciate your time. Best of luck to you and the rest of the guys for the main event, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you.
Thank you.